Hi and welcome back to the channel. Now, a couple of months ago I shot a video asking just how practical the Tesla Model 3 actually is. And we filled it with suitcases and pushchairs and baby seats, and to be fair, it took quite a lot. However, there's always going to be that time where you just need a bit more space and the car is full, which means you've then got to look for alternative solutions, one of which is in this box. So today I'm going to take you through roof bars for the Tesla Model 3, and not just Teslas. These are from TesStudio, who provided these and are sponsoring today's video, and they look fantastic. Stay tuned and we'll fit them together. Okay, so we're going to kick things off by looking at exactly what's in the box. And right at the top you have the actual roof bars themselves. Now, these are made of aluminium alloy, which means in comparison to cheaper steel ones, they're lighter, but they're actually more durable. There's a little bit of a curve to them, as you can see, because there's a curve to the car. And crucially, if you look at the profile of them, they're shaped kind of like an aeroplane wing. Now that's obviously super important when you're dealing with electric cars, because that is about efficiency. It's about making sure there's very little drag from the wind, and you don't want drag when you're trying to preserve battery. So that's a brilliant, brilliant addition. The actual shape of the unit, if I take this rubber strip out, you can see that it's shaped here so that you actually put installation pieces in that gap. And the way they work is basically it's a flat piece of metal with a pin on top that slides in either on top of the rubber or just in by itself, and then you attach it to your roof box or your bike carriers, and then you tighten it from above. It means that whatever you're fitting to it is really flush to the bar and looks really, really neat. The rubber strip is for those bits where you don't have accessories, but you also still don't want a big hole in the roof that catches any air. So you put this in, and it makes those gaps disappear. So you cut out the bits that you're using to hold your roof box or bike carriers, and then you put the rubber in around, and it means you end up with a really nice smooth finish. And I love the black. The black will of course match the roof of every Tesla, because they all have a black glass roof. So it's a great looking bar. So that's one of them. Be careful not to scratch it. The second one looks virtually the same, but it's actually slightly shorter. And that's because the Tesla is wider at the front than it is at the back. So when you're dealing with the bars, it means that you need to have slightly wider ones at the front, a slightly narrower one at the back. Exactly the same design and features in terms of the rubber. And then inside. So the next thing are the feet. Now these connect to each side of the bars, and you've got two short ones and two tall ones. Now again, because of the shape of the car is lower at the front than it is at the back, so therefore the taller ones go at the front, the shorter ones go at the back. So what I'll do is I'll fit these in a moment, and the taller ones will go on the long bars, and the shorter ones will go on the shorter bars. Now, if I get this box out of the way, we'll have a look at the remaining elements, because the next pieces are these 4 rubber feet. Now the purpose of these are exactly that, feet. So they go underneath these pieces that you're going to actually put onto the car. So that slots nicely, in fact that's the wrong one, that one slots nicely onto there, and you see it's shaped around the car. So the idea is that this is the bit that's actually against your paintwork and your glass, which obviously is going to be a bit gentler than this, which is aluminium alloy, or this, which is plastic. I'll show you how that works when we get to that stage. But you've got these 4 feet to go under every single corner. You've got a couple of fitting tools. I'll show you how these work in a moment. You've got some clear plastic stickers. Now these are really important, because before you put the rubber elements in the corners of your car, you've got the option to put this on your paintwork, and it just creates an extra barrier between the actual roof bars and your car. So you'd leave these stickers on all the time, and they're just going to give you a bit more peace of mind. You have all the tools you need. So you've got a socket set, which we'll get to in a bit, and an Allen key, which you need to be able to put the bars together, and again I'll show you that in a moment. You've got the 4 little screws which go into the ends of the bars to hold them onto the legs of the feet on each side. And then you've got this bit. Now this is the interesting piece, and I'm looking forward to showing you this on the roof, because this is the bit that actually connects to your car, and it goes under the glass but only in a specific point, and then pushes down on the metal, and then the feet then screw onto this. So that's where you've got security on the metal, so you're not really touching the glass. That's super important, because obviously when you're dealing with a car with a glass roof, you'd be justified in being a little bit afraid of obviously damaging the glass roof. But this is designed to ensure that the car is super safe. So you've got 4 of those, 1 for each corner, and then beyond that, you've got 4 little nuts, and the idea of those is that they will hold this bit, which is attached to the frame, to the feet, which you then attach on top. And that's what you use your socket set for. It's really simple, to be fair, the installation. So you've got 4 of those, 1 for each corner. And then you've got 2 spare locks and 2 keys. Now what the keys are for is, if you look at these feet, you've got little protectors here, and you put that on and you rotate it 90 degrees, and then this slides off. Now it only comes off at that angle. You can't take it off that way or at an angle. It's got to come off level with the bars. And then inside, that's where you'll see it locks on there. This is how you screw it onto the actual car, through here. So that bit will come through here. And then this bit's connected to the bars, which I'm now going to put together, and then I'm going to show you on the roof. Something that you've probably never noticed, but it actually shows you on the glass roof of your Tesla exactly where to put roof bars. And I've never spotted it until today. And that is your roof bars built. And so that literally took me 5 minutes. It's just a case of the ends slot in perfectly, and then it's just a case of that single screw on each end just to secure it. Just remember, the long bar is the front bar, and that has the taller feet, and the shorter bar is the back bar and has the shorter feet. Don't get confused, or else you are, of course, just going to have to take them apart and remake them. But now, let's move to the roof. Okay, so now we're at the roof stage. I've got my instructions, I've got the stickers, I've got just one of the metal supports, I've got the tool that you actually need to be able to put it in, and I've got the rubber cover. Now, I've also put my Ray-Ban Metas on, because of course I can shoot content through the video. Because what I want to show you is this bit that you probably won't have seen in your own car. So if I show you on here, I'm now recording video, and if you can see, just there's a little arrow, if you can catch it in the light, that shows you exactly where the roof bars go. So that's the front, the arrow is the middle, and then there's a line there, and it goes in that space. Now, I never even spotted that. It does tell you in the instructions that that is exactly 18 millimeters from the front, which it is. And the second one is over here, and is, again, you can see it. If I look down, you can see that there's the line, there's the arrow, and there's the line. Hopefully, you said you can see them on these glasses, but I assure you that's the space. And it's exactly where it tells you they are in the instructions. And that's when you use the tool to get the rubber bit out of the way to see exactly where this goes. But first, this is where you'd use the plastic cover. So it shows you exactly where you put it because you've got these arrows. So what I'll do is I'll position this just on my paintwork, just on the very edge, make sure it's stuck right down, and that just protects any unnecessary wear going on my actual paint. Okay, so if that's our marking, we then need to have a look exactly how this goes in, and that relies on this tool here. Now, if you can see that, it's thinner at this side and thicker here. This is the grip bit. So your aim here is to get it into the gap alongside the rubber. So if I come at it from this side, and you can see it's a little wet because I've given the car a really good clean around this area, just like the instructions do tell you to. And then if I can get in a bit, then I can slide along. There we go, and we are under it. And then if I use the tool, I can pull this back, the rubber, and underneath it gives you a little bit of visibility about what you're actually dealing with. So let's get right under. There we go, and pull this out of the way. There, that's it. Thinking about where exactly it said this could go, you pop that in at that angle, just at that angle, and then simply rotate it up. Now it's only going to work in the exact right place. Just pull that out to the side, perhaps actually probably makes a bit more sense. Pull it that way. And so I need to make sure I'm directly in front of the arrow, which I can still see, and I'm exactly in front of it, and that's it. It sits upright. That's it, it's done. So what we'll do then is we'll screw the feet directly onto that. So it's sitting below the rubber, below the glass, which means the glass itself is protected, and it's pretty solid actually, and it'll move a tiny bit from left to right, but only just slightly, because it's only got that allocated space between the two lines, which are drawn on the roof. Okay, so now moving on to the second piece. Again, if I turn my glasses on to record so you can see what I can see, you can just about see the line and the arrow and the line just there. And that's where we're going to be aiming for our second piece. It's really good that it was there and I had no idea. So we'll use our tool again. Now again, this will probably be a little bit more challenging to get underneath the rubber. In fact, before we use the tool, let's stick our sticker on to make sure we're protecting the paintwork. So I can see where the line is. If I aim for the middle, yep, that's the middle, and then stick it down. Try and do it from the middle outwards just to reduce the bubble likelihood. And then we need to be able to get underneath this rubber. So if I just try and grab it and lift it with this tool, if I can get maybe my nail just under there, just to open it up a little bit. Yeah, this is the toughest part of the installation, is the Tesla rubber. Okay, right, that's the gap open. So again, I get the metal piece, and if you can see on there, check we're still video recording, is I know that's the middle, so if I just slide that in, and then there you go, it just sits upright. Only in that particular spot, which is where it's meant to be, but it sits upright, and then you pull this out, and it's done. So it's in place. You've got a little bit of movement on it, just to go left and right, because you've just got that allocated space, but essentially, that's your points. And this will go over the top of there, in this front left, and then the feet will lock onto the top of it. That's quite neat. Right, I'll do the other two, and then we'll see how easy it is to actually put the roof bars on top. And that is all four corners done. Now, there's no two ways about it. So far, the toughest part of this installation has been putting these in, simply because of the rubber strip that goes around the roof that Tesla install. So nothing to do with the roof bars themselves or the kit. The kit is fantastic and thankfully explains exactly what you need to do. But yeah, those rubber strips are quite hard to move. But once you're in, it's got a little bit of motion because you can see on the roof the lines that it can move between, and sure enough, it does. But that's it, and now it's just a case of putting the feet on. So I'll go and grab them. Okay, so these are the feet for the remaining 3 points. So back here, shape of the car, as you can see, it is thicker at the front than the back, so I know that that one goes like so. The bigger one goes at the front, again, shape of the car, so it's really easy to see that that definitely fits there. So we'll just leave that in place for now, and then I'll pop the other one on the other side, then we'll grab a roof bar. Okay, so once you've got all your bolts in place that are under the glass and sat on the metal, you've got your rubber feet in the corners. The next thing you need is, of course, the bar. So I'm going to start with the front one, and this should just be a case of lining up the holes. And it's on, it's down, it's just sitting directly on the foot already. Now that side, I probably need to go around and just make sure it's in the right place, but we'll start over here anyway. So this has still got the plastic cover on, so if I go back to shooting with my glasses, you can see that we have to unlock it. So you've got a little picture between the lock and the unlock. So if I put that on, rotate 90 degrees, and then just pull it off. So you can see that the bolt is coming through there, and this is nice and snug. It's not going anywhere, it's nice and secure. I feel quite confident with that. So I'm going to put one of these nuts on top, and I'm not going to tighten it any more than that at this point until we go and look at the other side and check that one straight. But at the same time, while I'm here, I may as well do the back one. So put the key back down, I'll leave that cover there, grab the second bar, and then if I just again line this up so it goes through the hole, and again it's sitting nice and flush, which is great. Really, really easy. Grab the key again, so rotate that to unlock, and then this just slides off the side, and then there is your bolt ready to go. So just put the nut on it. I'm just going to hand tighten it enough just so it doesn't fall off. That's it. I'll leave the cover to the side and I'll leave the key next to it, and then we'll go and look at the other side. Okay, so it's exactly the same over here. I'm just going to take this cover off first so I can see exactly where everything is. Slide that off, and I can see the bolt sticking through, but it's not quite as snug on this side. So if I just move this rubber foot around, make sure it's definitely where it needs to be on the actual bar, and then slide that down, then we've got the bolt coming through perfectly. So yeah, you may just need a little bit of a tweak just to make sure it's completely lined up. And again, I'll finger tighten that, and we'll come back to tightening in just a moment. But that at least holds that in place, so we know that's where it needs to be. And then same thing at back. If I just unlock this, so rotate it the 90 degrees, so it's pointing there, and then slide this off. Bolt's already sticking out. It's already sitting perfectly on the foot, to be fair, on this side. So what we'll do is we'll just hand tighten that bolt. Now the next bit is obviously super important, because when you're putting these bolts on, what you don't want to do is over tighten them, because you risk damaging the car, the bar, the glass, a whole host of things. So it's making sure that you tighten it more than hand tighten, but not a great deal more, because you want it to be stable so it's not moving around in any direction, but at the same time it doesn't need to be too tight. The weight obviously is going to be down most of the time when you're driving. It'll be pulled up a little bit, so it needs to be secure enough to make sure it stays stable. These are capable of carrying, by the way, 65 kilograms of weight on Model 3, I believe, and it's 100 kilos on the Model Y. Not sure why it's different, because the chassis is so incredibly similar, but it is. Which means you're going to get a roof box and quite a lot of content in this, or a bike. You know, your average bike is probably about 6 or 7 kilos. So 65 kilos obviously takes a couple of bikes without any issue at all. Okay, now I've tightened the other 3 corners, so I've just got this one left. And just to illustrate, you know, I am tightening it very, very slowly and very, very lightly. So there's no tiny bit of motion there. Still a tiny bit. And essentially none there. So I'm going to go just a tiny bit more, but literally just a tiny bit. I'm super conscious of the fact that obviously there's a glass roof at play here, but that's solid as a rock, so that's great. And then it's just a case of putting these covers back on. So you'll need your key. So again, remember, slide it on from the side, and then tighten that, but just by rotating 90 degrees. The rubber strip, by the way, when it comes, it's not already installed in the bars. I put that in, but it's slightly overlong, so I've trimmed it so it's about 4 or 5 millimeters wider than the actual bar. Just so you've got a little bit of, because obviously it's rubber, it'll squash up. Just gives you a little bit more play, and you don't want a gap. So I'll put this last one on this side, and then we'll move over to the other side. So it goes in nice and straight. Rotate that 90 degrees, then let's go over there. So we'll put this back one on. Make sure it's nice and straight. Rotate that to lock, and then the very last piece, slide it on. Rotate to lock, and with that, they're done. And if you step back, I've got to admit, I think they look really cool. I've always been a fan of cars with roof bars on, so I think it makes them just look a bit more rugged. But they really, really do suit the Model 3. I think that looks great. And also the advantage here is your roof box is going to be, or your bikes are going to be fairly far forward, which means they're not going to get in the way of the boot. So when you try and open your boot, you're not going to be hitting a roof box or your bikes. Really, really smart. And when you are installing your accessories, you just take this end piece off here, just with the key, and then the rubber just slides out. So you can install your accessories on the pin brackets right in there without any issue at all. Now, I'm really happy with the end result there, and again, can I just thank TesStudio for sponsoring today's video and providing me with these roof bars to give it a go. They look fantastic, and I think they'll really enhance the practicality of my Tesla Model 3 and potentially yours. Now, if you want to learn a bit more about what TesStudio have on offer, have a look at the link up there. That goes straight to their website, and there's a discount code in the description, and they stock every accessory you could possibly need for your car. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care.